Hi everybody, this is Oksana, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make this bar pendant. It reminds me of some vines because I made some leaves, like vines growing on something, and then maybe the moonstone is the flower. So if you want to see how to make this bar pendant, just keep watching. So our base is going to be this really nice thick wire. It is half round and it's 12 gauge. So it looks like this. If you don't have half round, especially in such a thick size, that's okay, because what you can do is you can use round wire, maybe about 14 gauge, and just give it a little hammer. So do the same thing with the round wire that I'm gonna do, but then just in the middle part where we're gonna attach the stone, just hammer it so it's just a little flatter and it'll work a little better for you. And the piece that I cut myself is 6 inches long. So what we're gonna do is up here, we're gonna form our bail. So you can use round nose pliers or bail making pliers. I'm actually just gonna give it a nice trim first to make sure that it's a really flat, nice edge here. And then for my bail, I think I wanna use this one. So that's the fourth size there. So I'm just gonna bend that around. And the nice thing about this wire here, and then I'm just going to bend it this way, so when I take it off we've got a bail. It's half round and so it looks thick, but because of the flatness of it, it's really flexible and it's easy to work with and it's easy to bend, even though it looks like it wouldn't be. So then you got to determine how long you want your bar to be. So I'm just gonna trim it so it's a little shorter and easier to work with. I know I probably just should have cut a piece that was the right size in the first place. But here on the bottom, what you wanna do is we just basically wanna hide the end of the wire. So just trying to make as small of a little loop as I possibly can here. I will attach some wire to it, so it will, be useful for that. But other than that, I'm just trying to keep it very not noticeable. So I basically did the same thing I did with the bail, but just tiny version. So that's what we have going on so far. The next type of wire that I'm going to use is some 20 gauge square copper wire. And I'm going to use 2 pieces of this wire, and they measure about 12.5 inches. So let's just say 13 inches. We'll just round up a little bit. And to attach this wire to my bar, I'm going to use 22 gauge half round wire, and all my wires from RioGrande.com. That's the website that I purchased it on. So I'm just going to get a little end here, grab a piece of this half round wire there, unravel it a little. So you just want to find the middle of your square wires. So I know you can't see because they're long, but I'm holding it roughly in the middle. And then here on your bar, it actually doesn't have to be the middle where you attach your stone. You can attach your stone closer to the top or closer to the bottom. It's totally up to you, but I'm just gonna attach it closer to the middle. So what I wanna do is put this bar in between my wires, my square wires, like this. And then I'm gonna take my half round wire, I'm going to put it flat side down, and I'm going to wrap around all 3 of these wires to make that connection. And as I'm wrapping, let me find my pliers here. Oh, here they are. As I'm wrapping, I'm just going to press down because these tend to really move out of place and I don't want them to start overlapping. I want them to just nicely be flat against each other, so it kind of helps to press down. And the wire ends in this case are going to be here on the front facing me, because this is where we're going to place the stone, and so the stone is going to cover up the wire end. So just press that little wire end down, and this is probably big enough, but if you're wrapping not the little tail end but the remain of the wire that's connected to the spool, you want to guide it and then just turn the piece, and you want this to be just the right size for your stone to sit on the bottom of your stone. You don't want it to be much bigger. So my stone is quite small. I'm going to try my best to measure it, but it's hard with these tiny stones. So it's probably 8 millimeters maybe, but basically just any small stone. It doesn't have to be exactly like mine, just something that works and sits well on this little platform, so to speak, that you've created for it. And so the stone's going to go in here, and then we are going to set it in a similar way that you would set a ring. So we're going to raise up these wires, and one set of wires is going to go down one side, and the other set of wires is going to go on the other side. And if you've ever made a ring, this is kind of similar to trapping in a stone for a ring. So you want to make sure that you do put it nice up against the edge, not too high up so the stone can't pop up. And same thing here on the other side, nice and close to the edge. And once you do that, you'll see that the stone is actually staying put quite well. So then we're just going to bring the wires up and over, and then same thing here. We're just going to basically continue bringing them around. And here's a nice extra thing that you can do that'll really make the stone more secure, is you can make this nice tiny little loop with the wire that is the closest to the stone there. And you can do this on just one side or both sides, but it's basically like an additional little bit that's going to hold on to your stone. So this is optional, but if you feel like you need it, it'll only help secure your stone. So then what you're going to do with the two wires, make sure that they're lined up nicely and they haven't crisscrossed, like one is over the other or anything. And we're going to just bring them around, all the way around and back. And we're going to do the same thing up here. We're just going to go all the way around and back to the front. And what that did is it secured those wires, and now our stone is nice and trapped. As you can see here from the back, little bits of the stone are peeking out. That's why you don't want to use a stone that's too big, because the edges that hang over the sides are going to be quite big if your stone is big, and it might pop out. But in this case, it's just a little bit here, so it's not going to pop out. And I'm just going to fix this little edge, make sure it's trapping it in there. So what's left to do now is to do any kind of decorative designs that you want with these two wires here on the rest of the bar. So one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make some leaves. So first I'm going to make just a tiny little swirl, and I'm going to use my round nose pliers to help me get that swirl nice and small. And then I'm going to follow that swirl along with my other wire, and with my other wire, that's how I'm going to make my leaf. So I'm going to make first like a big loop like this, and then I'm going to squish that little loop down until it's really squished, and then I'm going to unsquish it. I'm going to open it back up, and that creates that nice little point for the leaf. You can use your pliers to just kind of position the leaf how you want it to go and make that nice little shape there. There we go. So for holding it, here's what it looks like. And we have these two wires now back together again. So we're just gonna wrap them around the bar. And then here, back to the front. And now what you can do is you can tuck one or both of these wires into this little loop on the bottom that we've made. So I'm going to do that with one of my wires, but with the other wire I will kind of make more decoration. So the wire that I cut is this wire here. So let me kind of move the other wire out of the way for a second there so you can see. So I'm just going to take this little wire end and I'm just going to kind of tuck it into that loop, and I'm just going to press down on it so it's right in there. And you don't want it to be so long that it sticks out the other side and you can feel it and scratch yourself on it. So I can't feel mine is too short. So with this second wire, you can make a little swirl or a little loop. It's up to you. So I'm just going to start to bend it. And then I'm going to cut it short, but not too short. Just short enough so it's easy for me to kind of maneuver it. And I'm going to try and tuck it into this little bit here. So I'm just going to pull that all the way through. Try to maintain the little loop shape that I've been making. There we go, kind of squish that a little. Oh, and that other wire got untucked out of there because this wire pushed it out. So I'm just gonna move it, tuck it back in. So here's what we have going on here. And we just have this little wire end. So I'm just gonna cut it short, leave myself just a little bit there. And I'm going to take that little bit and I'm going to turn it so that it points towards the wire. Actually needs to be a little shorter still, because what I want is I want it to be out of the way and not poke. So I want it to be hidden away like that. Nope, you can kind of see it still. There we go. All right, so what I have is that little wire end. You can see it's forming like a little loop. And then you can see it touching the other wire there instead of sticking out. So that's how I finished off the end. So now it's time to do this top part here. So one thing you could do is you could use some beads for decoration if you want, just any kind of like little crystal beads or gemstone beads, but I'm just going to use these copper beads. They're 3 millimeters, and this is the size of the hole. So the hole's nice and large on these beads. They're from RioGrande.com, and because of that, they fit onto these 20 gauge wires here. So I'm just gonna slide that down. I'm putting it in on the wire that's on the left side, so then there's a wire that's bare without the bead on the other side there. So I'm just gonna bend that like this, and the wire that has the bead, I'm gonna bring that all the way around so it's wrapping around the bead, or like swirling swirling around the bead like this. And now I'm going to make another little leaf decoration up here with this wire, the wire that did not have the bead on it. So I'm just making a loop. I am squishing that loop down, and then I'm opening it back up. And I'm just shaping my little leaf there. You can use your pliers. So there's my leaf, and then this wire comes back to this other wire. They're back together. Oh, and another thing you can do that I just thought of is you can wrap some of that half round wire around any part of this, and that'll look really beautiful too. Like a really nice added effect. So I'm just putting the leaf, it was just really sticking out the side there quite a bit, so I'm just putting it here next to this bale. And then I'm going to cut these a little shorter here. Basically, I want to finish these off, and I'm going to finish them off by wrapping them around the bale. So I'm putting them in my little wire ends. They're here on the back. So here's the leaf, then the little wires went around and around, and now I'm just wrapping them around this top loop, which is my bale. Now you can do one wire at a time or both, whatever's easier for you. But I'm basically just making like a little loop with them. And then here they are coming back. So now I am going to do one at a time. So I have this first one. Now that they're wrapped around once, they're nice and secure, so I can tuck them away. So what I'm going to do is just give myself a little wire end, just long enough so it tucks right in there, but not so long that it sticks out the other side. And I'm just going to pinch that shut in there, so that wire is taken care of. Now I just have the second wire to do that with. So here it is here. Just gonna trim that. And then I'm just taking that little wire end and tucking it into the bale and just squishing it down in there. All right, so now the wire ends are hidden in there. Here's what it looks like from the back. And here's what it looks like from the front. So this is our little leafy bar pendant. So here it is here on a cord necklace. This is quite a large one. You can do like a little mini version of this, or you can dangle this from like another larger stone pendant. That would be cool too. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.